G'day John, there's the little MG there. I'm heading north to Bundaberg to my father-in-law's house to take his birthday present up because we missed the post. And I just saw this and I thought you might like it. You might get a giggle. See there, bit of a dull day today. Plenty of palm trees, but I'm only 20 kilometres outside Buxton, mate. I've got to turn right in 300 metres or 300 miles. Or 30,000 miles, which is more probably the case. Anyway, so there you go, from sunny Bundaberg, mate. Who'd have thought it? Hey John, back on the job again, and we're going to modify the Ryobi push pullers. Because naturally this only works in the forward direction if you've got a tube of silicon or cork. It's not motorized to run backwards, you know, so basically you can see there I'm moving it, and you can see that the worm gear is moving forwards at about, you know, about 7 or 8 millimeters a second, and it's when it's done, to get the thing to actually recoil and to go back, you've got to actually pull that black tail shaped thing there and move the whole mechanism backwards. Now that isn't going to be good enough for moving our trolley beam on the daisy cutter, which will give us no accuracy on setting it up. What I mean by that is if we can motorize it so it goes backwards as well as forwards, we can put absolute markers on the tracks that it slides backwards and forwards on, so that we can zero it out and actually get it dead center on a dead center setting, and otherwise. So what I'm going to do is, there's two of these, and I'm going to just actually break into the wiring for the supply to the motor, so that if, as you can see, we've clicked the trigger and it's providing a positive and a negative to the motor, on the positive and negative controls to the motor. What I'm going to do is just put a phase switch, a double pole switch, with the actual terminals crossed over on it as a phase switch, and that should then make it run backwards, depending on the position of the phase switch on the control box. So let's see how we go with that. So stripping the bugger open with taking out the Phillips screws so that the whole thing can come away, you can see the mechanism's not far from the imagination. You know, you've got like what I think here is just basically a simplistic regulated comparator board here that watches for the position of this worm being fed in and out off a very highly geared driver gear, and then from there it's we don't need to interfere with any of that. All I need to do is break into these red and blue wires here, which you might be able to see, which are the from the board to the motor. Right then, we have our wiring inserted, which you can see here is just a DC cable feeding the DC battery terminals of the caulking gun, and this black 5 core coming in here, John. One of the cores is redundant and is just wrapped out of the way with cable shrink on the end of it, and then the rest of the wires run up. So the two coming from the board go down to the control panel, and then the two coming back go back to the motor, and the whole thing exits the bottom of the... But now that I've got the wiring on, I'm going to do the other gun. So here we go with the phase switch in position 1, forward. A success. It's drawing 0.19 amps at 18 volts across it. Backwards. With the thing in position 2, you can see that the thing is actually running backwards. I'm pushing my screwdriver out of the way and pushing everything else off the bench, which is what we want. Okay, I've made this template, which is basically these push-pulling guns are going to have to be held firmly in place at the end of the bench. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out, if you imagine that's looking down on the corner of the end of the bench, I'm going to cut out a profile which is basically half the shape of the gripping area, which then the gun can sit on the top, if you see what I mean, and sit in the bench hole, and then they can be clamped in with hopefully some screws or metal straps or whatever, something to hold them tight. And that is the shape of half of the barrel, plus a little bit more, just to hold it nice and tight so it doesn't snap the end off the wood. It's a pretty agricultural way of doing it, but it's all we need for the minute, I think. And now we'll cut it out of the wood and see how it looks. All being well, we can just use this template, and then when we get to the other end of the bench for the other one, just flip it over and use it the other way around, as you do with any good woman. So we've got it in place at the end of the bench, and it's just a case now of transferring the shape of the template onto the bench top, ready to be jigsawed out. The interesting thing is that down the side it's actually got to run at a slight angle, because the edge of the weapon of choice actually runs at a slight angle. So I don't know whether you can see that there. I've just copied that on with pencil, but because the gun is kind of shaped like so, and then the body's like so, and then the handle goes backwards, as they do, to be nice and trendy. What it means is, it's hard drawing things through a camera lens, isn't it? That's the instrument. As you can see, if I was putting this through the edge of the bench, it wouldn't just be a case of cutting a slot down. It's going to have to be the same parallelogram as that, which is going to mean it's going to be like that. So that's the shape on the top, and then down the sides it's going to be completely different. It's too dark at the moment, it's night time, but I'm going to mark it out, and I'm going to cut it and see how we go with that. But basically I'm just going to do it with a protractor, just to make sure we get this angle here correct. Okay, right, well, we've done the other end and this end, and we now have the desired shape, which I don't know if you can see there. It's probably a little hard to see. We still haven't fastened the track down yet, because it's going to be aligned properly with the laser when all of the push pullers are in place. But you can see there it's got this kind of notched out shape. Just jigsawed it and chiseled it, and hopefully this means that the great Ryobis should just fit in effortlessly, and they do. There you go, you see, and it fits in, and it's ready to do the pushing and pulling on the end of the wheelie trolley there for the beam. And hopefully, if I just strap it in place now with some fairly decent bonds, giving me a thick piece of roof bracing, and what I'm going to do is I've drilled the holes. I'm going to fasten it across the end here. Hang on a minute, you can't see anything, can you? Oh, Johnny boy, the lights are falling. Let's just get something better on here. And then you can see what I am seeing. There you go, it's not quite as appalling now. So that is good, and what I'm going to do is screw this strap on, the kind of strap on that should hold all eventualities in place, and keep the gun nice and steady in there. I'm not going to do it up all the way just yet. That would be very bad practice. The last couple of twists, just to make sure everything's nice and tight. Yeah. And as you can see, she's very well held in place. There's a little bit of give in it, but what we'll do now is we'll get stuff coupled up to the push-pull switches, the phase switches, and we'll see how she fares in action. So here we go. The proof of the pudding is in the eating. I'll just switch this fan off, and then we can see. So we're wired up to this toggle switch on the command board here, the old faithful, and we're putting 18 volts across the whole thing, and it's actually drawing. If I put it in forward mode by pushing the toggle switch forward, it extends. The RAM starts to extend, As you can see, it's not connected to the trolley beam yet, but you can see that it's actually moving forward with great gusto. And if I stop it and push it in the backward mode, you can see that it's actually withdrawing, and it does actually react to having a load on it. It has actually pushed this across quite well. I'm happy with that. It should be absolutely worthy of its position and its title here. So we will see tomorrow, because it's quite late. We're going to get the whole thing shebang up and working. But good to know that that bit works. Okay, John, speak to you later, mate. Cheers.